I'm Stephen Blazie, and I'd like to welcome you all to the very first episode of BT Speak and BT Braille customer training. Now, we hope this will be the beginning of a long-running series of both practical and engaging trainings, and they're designed to really help you get the most from your BT devices. And whether you're just getting started using the product or you've been using it for a long time now, our goal is to help you discover new skills and answer your questions at the end of the training session, and at the end of the day, become more confident using your device. One of the questions that we hear most often from prospective customers is, what resources are available to help me learn how to use the device? If I were to purchase one of these, how do I get started with this? And the answer to that is that we at Blazie Technologies, we've built several layers of support to help you learn in the way that works best for you, because it's a very subjective thing. First, every device includes a getting started guide and a comprehensive user manual. The manuals are available directly on the device, and they're also available for download from the website. Of course, these are things that you read. So for those who prefer to learn by listening, we also provide an audio tutorial series for BT Speak at this current point in time. And that's available both on the device and online. And then a corresponding series for BT Braille will eventually happen. Now, both computers also include two really powerful forms of on-demand help. The first is kind of a classic. I say classic because many other products have this one, a context-sensitive help system. So from almost anywhere on the device, you would simply press H chord wherever you are, and you'll be taken directly to the section of the manual that relates to what you're currently doing. So if you're in the email client, you'll see help for email. If you're editing a document, you'll see help for the Braille editor. The documentation comes to you, so you don't have to search for the topic that you're interested in. But what if you want to ask a very specific question? Like, how do I cut and paste from the clipboard? Or how do I set up my email account in the email client? Now, that's where Smart Help comes in. This is another layer of support. So you'd simply add .8 to the H chord, and you'll hear, how can I help? And there you'd ask your question in your own words, phrase it, however you write it, and then Smart Help will provide step-by-step instructions or answer your question directly. So you have a couple of choices on device, and beyond the resources that are built directly into the device, we're also very proud of our customer support community. Our tech support team is always available by phone and email when you need assistance. And then beyond tech support hours, we also host our customer listserv. This has turned out to be a really, really positive thing for our community. This is a place where users share ideas, answer questions, and help one another. It's really become an outstanding community resource. I've seen customers post questions at 10 p.m. on a Friday night and receive complete solutions from fellow users within the hour, sometimes 15 minutes later. And so that's a really, really great resource for getting training on how to use your device as well. So today we're excited to add yet another layer to that support system. And these are customer training sessions. It's going to give you regular opportunities to learn new features, explore different workflows, hear how to use the device maybe from different perspective from our staff, and then ask us questions directly on the topic, directly from the people who build and support the products. So tonight's session is going to focus on desktop mode, and it's going to be presented by David Goldfield. He's going to walk you through the features he'll be covering, and we'll conclude the session with a live question and answer session. Now, I want to tell you, feel free to raise your hand at any point when the question comes from you during the presentation, and then we'll make sure to get to as many questions as we can at the end during the dedicated Q&A session after the training. So thank you all for joining us, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to David.
Thank you, Stephen. Hey, everyone. It's great to see all of you here, and it's good to be here with all of you. And before we actually start the training, I'll just add on a little bit to what Stephen has already talked about, that a lot of this documentation that Stephen just recently mentioned is being updated, and you should see the fruits of that in the next update, which should be coming out very, very shortly. So, as an example, we have updated some of the help files, the smart help that Stephen was talking about, where you can ask a question to zero in on a specific topic. That has been updated, and the manuals have been updated. The BT Speak manual now covers everything at least up to the June update. And maybe, if we're lucky, we can even get some stuff into the manual for July. But even if we don't, I'm in the process of plugging that in so that probably within a month or two, you'll see another update to that manual. We haven't had a new manual update for customers since last September. And we were working on a lot of other things. It's not that we weren't doing anything, but I would really like to get that updated more regularly, so that my goal is that with each new update, the manual will be updated to almost reflect the new update. It's pretty hard to do that and commit to that all the time, but the manual will be pretty close. So the BT Speak manual has been significantly updated, and we finally have a BT Braille manual as well. Not just a couple of README files. And we used to tell people that were BT Braille owners, hey, if you really want a full manual, look at the welcome screen and the help files and the BT Speak manual. Well, now we don't have to do that because the BT Braille manual itself is ready. And you'll see that in the next batch of updates. We're not going to talk too much about the updates tonight, but we'll have a webinar scheduled for next week where we'll dive into that. What I'm going to do now is start the training. This is an intro to desktop mode, and I will be honest, this training is pre-recorded. I prefer that method, but after the training, we will take any live Q&A. So I'll still be around. I won't disappear, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. So I will play the training now, and we will not be interrupting it for questions, but afterward, Stephen and I will come back and take your questions live. And here we go with tonight's training. I really hope it'll be helpful for you. So we're going to roll it right now. All right, so let's start out with this desktop mode introduction. I want to start out by saying a few things. First, what we're going to talk about applies to all of the products that we sell. So whether you have a BT Speak, BT Braille 20, or a BT Braille 40, this is all going to be applicable. Of course, with the Braille display, you have the advantage of being able to read what's happening in Braille, but all of the commands, the software, the responses that you get, they're going to be identical whether you're using a BT Speak or a BT Braille. First, let's talk about the two modes that we have on BT Speak and BT Braille. We have Blazie Mode and Desktop Mode, and it's important that you know the differences. When you first turn on your device, you are always in Blazie Mode. So Blazie Mode is where you have our editor, our custom applications like the YouTube app and the NFB Newsline app and the radio tuner. All of that is in Blazie Mode. When you go into the options menu, the paste menu, that's all happening in Blazie Mode. And we do have a lot of customers who spend most of their time in Blazie Mode, and that's perfectly fine. But there are some advantages and benefits of desktop mode. That's what we're going to focus on. So, what is desktop mode and how does it differ from Blazie Mode? Desktop mode is, and I don't want this term to freak you guys out, it's a graphical environment. Blazie Mode is pretty menu driven. Desktop mode is also menu driven, but it can be visually a bit graphical in nature. Now, I don't want that to scare you because if you use other devices, they're graphical also. You know, Windows is a graphical environment. The Mac is a graphical environment. But we are able to get around that by using screen readers to let us hear what's going on so it doesn't sound very graphical, it sounds very text-based. And that's true with desktop mode as well. This is a desktop environment where you have access to a lot of applications that you don't get in Blazie Mode. Examples are Thunderbird for reading and sending email. You have Chromium and Firefox, which are full web browsers, and you have the LibreOffice suite, which is a full Office suite, including a very robust word processor called Writer, a spreadsheet called Calc, and some other things. Now, we are not going to be able to go into all of the features of desktop mode and all of the apps and all of their features. There's just no way that we can cover that in one session. So this is just meant to be an intro. So the important thing to know is that when you turn your BT Speak or BT Braille off and then back on again, you're always in Blazie Mode. In fact, even if you turn it off and you were in desktop mode, when you turn it back on again, you're always going to be in Blazie Mode. That is the way we designed it. Okay, so let's talk about how we go from Blazie Mode to desktop mode and then back again, because that's very important and it's very easy to do that. Okay, right now I'm in Blazie Mode. Now I'm using a BT Braille 40 to do this demo, and I believe I'm in the welcome screen. Let's find out by pressing T chord for title.
Viewing welcome screen MD file 1 of 19, Literary Braille.
Yeah, I'm in the welcome screen. Now to go into desktop mode, we press all of the keys except for dot 7. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 chord. So we include dot 8 with that. When we press that key, what you're going to hear is starting desktop mode. Then you're going to hear a slight pause as the machine boots into desktop mode. Now, how long that pause is depends on which device you're using. If you're using a BT Braille, it'll just take maybe around 4 or 5 seconds or so. If you're using a BT Speak, it will take a bit longer, but you're going to get the same prompts. It'll say starting desktop mode, there'll be a pause, you will hear some tones, and then you will hear it say screen reader on. And we'll talk about what that means after we go into desktop mode. So I'm going to press those keys now. That's all of the keys, including the spacebar and dot 8, except for dot 7. Let's do that now.
Starting desktop mode. Screen reader on.
Okay, So it said screen reader on. We are now out of Blazie mode into desktop mode. First, before we proceed, let's talk about how we go back into Blazie mode, because we can flip back and forth. To go into Blazie mode, we press all of the keys except for .8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chord.
Blazie Mode.
It said Blazie mode. And now I'm back in Blazie mode. I can do all of the things that we can do in Blazie mode. I'm right back where I was, in this case, in the welcome screen file. Now, if we press all of the keys except for .7, it will go back into desktop mode, but it will be immediate. There's no pause. Let's do that.
Desktop Mode.
And I'm now in desktop mode. All the keys with .7 and without .8.
Blazie Mode.
I'm back in Blazie mode. All the keys except for .7.
Desktop Mode.
Okay, you get the idea. So it's easy to go back and forth. The reason why there's no pause is because it already loaded desktop mode. So when I go back into Blazie mode, desktop does not close. It just kind of gets pushed to the side, if you want to think of it that way. So that's why it's a lot quicker when it opens up. Okay. Now, let's talk about what we heard when we first went into desktop mode. It said screen reader on. So what's that all about? Well, you know, if you've used other computers or other devices, like a Windows machine or a Mac or an iPhone or an Android tablet, in order to use those devices, in order for us as blind people to hear what's going on the screen, we need a screen reader. I mean, that's pretty basic stuff. Most of you guys probably know that. And there are different screen readers depending on which device you're using, right? If you're using Windows, you might use JAWS or NVDA or Narrator. If you're using an Apple device, you're using VoiceOver. If you're using an Android device, you're likely using TalkBack. Well, in Blazie mode, we already have a screen reader running at all times, but the desktop mode is a little different. We need a separate screen reader to allow you to hear, and on the Braille display to feel what's going on in the desktop and in desktop applications. So we have a special screen reader that we use called Orca, O-R-C-A. This is a screen reader that runs in Linux on the desktop. And you don't have to install it on your BT Speak or BT Braille. We've already done that for you. There's no license fees. There's no SMA for Orca. It's a totally free screen reader. And so when it says screen reader on, that's what it's talking about. It's basically saying that Orca is now running so that we can hear what's going on in the desktop. We're not using Orca in Blazie mode, but we are using it in this separate desktop environment that we call desktop mode. So I hope that that is clear. But again, I want to reassure you that you don't have to do anything to install it. Now, you may want to configure it and change certain settings, just as you can change settings in other screen readers. We're not going to go into every single setting in this session because this isn't really an Orca specific training session, although we can do that. if there is interest, and we may do that in the future. But right now, what I want to do is talk about how to change the speech in Orca. Because you may notice that Orca's speech sounds a little different from the speech in Blazie Mode. It came on a little louder and maybe a little slower as well. So why is that? Well, that's because the Orca screen reader isn't set to automatically match the screen reader in Blazie Mode. So this is something that you may want to do, and we're going to talk about how to do that. By the way, we have tried to match a lot of the commands in Blazie Mode to the commands in Orca so that they're very similar. So I don't want anybody to be concerned that, oh man, now I've got to learn another screen reader. It should be a pretty easy transition, and hopefully this training session will help with that. First, let's talk about how we can explore a little bit in desktop mode, and then we can talk a little bit about how to change Orca's speech. You know in Blazie Mode that you can use O chord to open the options menu. And when you do that, you're in a menu that we have designed for you with all of our applications and services and different tools. Well, the desktop mode has a similar menu. It's not identical, but it's similar. And you can also use O chord to access that menu as well. It's not called the options menu, however. It's called the applications menu because it is a menu of applications as well as tools and services in the desktop mode. So the concept is similar. Let's press O chord.
Applications menu.
And it says applications menu instead of options menu. And we can navigate through this menu same way that we navigate through the options menu with .4 chord. To move down, you could think of that as down arrow, or .1 chord to move up, like up arrow. Let's move down and just hear a little bit of what we have.
Accessories menu.
Okay, so we have an accessories menu,
Graphics menu.
a graphics menu,
Internet menu.
an internet menu, which is pretty important.
Office menu.
There's an office menu.
Other menu.
That has our office suite. There's a menu of other choices here.
Programming menu.
Programming,
Sound and video menu.
sound and video controls,
System tools menu.
system tools,
Accessories menu.
and we're back to accessories. And of course, if we press .1 chord,
System tools menu.
we wrap back from the bottom.
Sound and video menu.
We can close the menu with Z chord.
Escape.
Cool, and it said escape. So as you can see, the concepts here in desktop mode are similar, but the options are not necessarily identical because desktop mode is a totally different environment compared to Blazie Mode. But we've tried to match things so that they're very similar. Now let's talk about how to get into the Orca screen reader menu. This is very easy to navigate. Sometimes we've noticed that pressing this key doesn't always open the menu, and the way to get it to work is to go to the desktop. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, I thought we were in desktop all this time. Well, we were in desktop mode, but not on the desktop screen or window. If you're a Windows user, you could think of it as when you go into Windows, you're not always on the desktop, right? You may be in an application, you might be in settings, you might be on a web page, but there's another set of keys that you press to get to your Windows desktop. Just like on an iOS or Android device, you're not always on the home screen. You might be in a web browser. You might be in your book reading app, but you have to do something else to get to your home screen. Well, the desktop mode has a home screen also that is literally called the desktop. You generally don't have to go to the desktop because everything that you need is in the applications menu. But there may be times when you might want to go to the desktop, and there are ways that you can put items from the applications menu on your desktop. An analogy for this, if you're a Windows user, and if you're not a Windows user, it's okay. But if an analogy is that the applications menu that we get to with OCord is like the start menu in Windows, okay? And the desktop screen or the desktop window in desktop mode is like the desktop in Windows. I personally learn really well when someone gives me analogies or comparisons to other things that I know. That may not always work for some of you, but for some of you, if it does, that's great. So sometimes in order to get the Orca menu to work, we just have to move to the desktop. You don't have to do anything on there. Let's just move there. The way we do that is the letter D with dots 7, 8, and the spacebar. So it's the letter D and all three lower keys.
Desktop
now.
icon view.
Okay, it says desktop icon view. There may not be a lot of things on your desktop when you first get your BT Speak or BT Braille, and that's not really important. I just wanted to get us there. Now let's go into the Orca menu, which is OCord with dot 7. Okay, so remember, OCord takes us to the applications menu, but OCord with dot 7 takes us into the Orca menu. The Orca menu is what we're going to go into to configure the Orca screen reader. Let's press OCord with dot 7 now.
General page tab.
Now, that may not have sounded like it's in the Orca menu, but that's exactly what we needed to hear. So we are now in the Orca menu, and it said General Page tab. This is something called a multi-tab dialog box. Now, if you are a Windows user or a Mac user or an iPhone user even, this will be somewhat familiar to you. If you're not a user of other devices, don't worry about that because I'll try to explain it. This is a dialog box or a dialogue, and a dialogue has different options that you can adjust or configure, which is what we want to do here. But there are so many options in this particular dialog, the Orca settings dialog, that they didn't want to put all of them in one screen because it would just be overwhelming. So they broke it up or divided them up into different categories. These categories are known as tabs. We're in the general category. In other words, just general options. But there are other categories or groups of options that we can adjust. Now, we're not going to explore or explain all of these options today. We can always revisit these in a future session if there's interest. What I want to do is just show you how to navigate this. So we're in the General Options group, or tab as it's called. You could also think of this as a page of options, and there are different pages of options in this dialog. To move to different tabs or categories or groups, you press .6 chord or right arrow. Let's do that now.
Voice page tab.
We're in the voice page for voice options. Let's do it again.
Speech page tab.
This is the speech page tab for speech controls. Now again, this is not speech controls for Blazie Mode. This is for Orca, the screen reader that we're using in desktop mode. Let's press .6 chord again.
Braille page tab.
Aha, Braille page. So this has some options that we can set if you're using a BT Braille or if you're connecting a Braille display to a BT Speak. .6 chord.
Echo page tab.
That's echo. That's for things like typing echo. When I type, do I want to hear words? Do I want to hear characters? Do I want to hear both? Or do I want to hear nothing at all? By the way, I can move back to the different categories with .3 chord. To move back, you could think of that as your left arrow.
Notification Braille page tab.
Okay, it gave me some notification, but I interrupted that.
Speech page tab.
So you can move back and forth with .3 chord to move left, .6 chord to move right.
Braille page tab. Echo page tab.
Okay, we're back to echo.
Key bindings page tab.
Key bindings is for shortcut
Pronunciation
keys.
page tab.
Pronunciation is for word pronunciation.
Text attributes page tab.
Text attributes, we're definitely not going to explore most of these right now.
General page tab.
And we're back in the general page. So as you see or hear, this wraps. If you are a Windows or a Mac user, this is going to sound very familiar. Let's get to adjusting Orca's voice. I'm going to press .6 chord.
Voice page tab.
And I'm in the voice page, and this is what I want. Now, once we are pointing to the category or page that I want, we can move through the different options by pressing Tab to move forward or Shift Tab to move backward. To press Tab, we press .4/5 chord. Shift Tab is 1/2 chord. Let's press Tab, which is 4/5 chord.
Tab. Voice type settings panel. Voice type : combo box. Default.
Okay, the voice type is default. This is the type of voice that Orca uses for things like the uppercase voice, or what kind of voice will you hear with a link. Now, when we have this
Voice type : default.
this type of list, we can press Enter to expand the list. I'll do that now.
Return combo box. Default.
So we're in a combo box, and
Uppercase.
now if we press .4 chord, we have uppercase. That's the uppercase voice.
Hyperlink.
The hyperlink voice.
System.
And some other
Default.
voices. But I'm going to go back to default, and then if I press Enter, it chooses that
Which
option.
voice type : combo box. Default.
So when you encounter a combo box, which I realize you don't encounter them in Blazie mode, but in desktop mode, at certain times you will. That usually means there are options that you can choose from, and in order to find those options, you press Enter, and you get a list of options that are in the combo box. You press .4 chord to move down through the list, or .1 chord to move up through the list. And when you find the item that you want, you press Enter. Let's press Tab and move to the next control or item in this dialog.
Speech system : combo box. Speech dispatcher.
Now this we're not going to change, and I wouldn't recommend that you worry about changing this. The speech system is set for what's called speech dispatcher, and that is really what you want. Okay, let's move to the next item by pressing Tab.
Speech synthesizer : combo box. Default synthesizer.
Now, the default synthesizer is Voxen or vocalizer. That might be okay, and you might like that, but there are others that you can choose from, and let's see what we have by pressing Enter to expand the items in the combo box. I'll press Enter.
Return combo box. Default synthesizer.
Now, what you heard was return because the Enter key is set to speak, at least on this unit. We can change that behavior, but right now we're in the combo box. Let's press .4 chord to see what we have.
Voxen.
There's Voxen.
Speak-eng.
That's eSpeak, the English version of eSpeak.
DTK-generic.
Okay, that's Deck Talk.
Default synthesizer.
And the default, which is also Voxen. So just like the BT Speak, you can use the Deck Talk voices and Voxen as well. I'm going to set it for Voxen, or
Voxen. Default synthesizer. Rich speech synthesizer : combo box. Default synthesizer.
Okay. And remember, we can also press Shift Tab if we want to go back with dots 1, 2 chord.
Speech system : combo box. Speech dispatcher.
Okay.
Speech synthesizer : combo box. Default synthesizer.
I pressed forward tab or tab, dots 4, 5 chord, because I generally want to move forward here.
Language : combo box. N-US.
Okay, it's set for English US, which for me is what I want, but if you want to change the language of the speech device that you're using or the speech engine, you can do that. Let's move
Person : combo box. Default voice.
Okay, this is the person. So some of you may be wondering, well, that's great. I can choose Voxen or Deck Talk, but how do I choose the voices for Deck Talk or the voices for Voxen? No problem. You go to Person, and in order to see what choices we have, you press Enter.
Return combo box. Default voice.
Okay. Now it's set for default, but for Voxen, let's see what else I have here.
Nathan - embedded - compact.
There's Nathan.
Samantha - embedded - compact.
Samantha.
Tom - embedded - compact.
I think that's all I have.
Default voice. Nathan - embedded - compact.
Okay.
Default voice.
And this voice, by the way, is Nathan, and that seems to be the default voice. So let's press Enter on that.
Rich person : combo box. Default voice.
Now, if you had set the speech for Deck Talk, the person combo box would have the different Deck Talk voices. So if you like Huge Harry instead of Perfect Paul, that's how you change that. Okay, let's move forward with Tab.
Capitalization style : combo box. None.
Now, we can have different styles of how it reads capitalization. I'm not going to really worry about that, but we can
Return combo
press
box.
Enter
None.
to see what we have in this combo box.
Icon. Spell. None.
Okay.
Icon. None.
Let's go to none.
Rich capitalization style : combo box. Nut rate :
And let's move
horizontal
forward.
slider 50. 50.
Now, this is important. This is a slider for rate, or the speed. And we can change this in a few ways here. So we can press dot 6 chord to
51,
make it a little faster.
52, 53,
And you can tell it's slowly moving
54,
up.
55,
Or we can press dot 3 chord
54,
to move
53,
it
52,
back.
51, 50.
So you can imagine that as pressing left or right arrow on the sliders. But there's another way we can move in larger groups or increments by pressing page up and page down. Now, how do we do that on a Braille keyboard? Dot 5/6 chord,
Page down, 60.
and it went to 60,
Page down, 70.
and it's going to 70, so I don't want it that fast. Let's go to page up.
Page up, 60.
Okay, I press dots 2/3 chord for page up,
Page up, 50.
and now it's back to 50. So you can move it in larger increments with page up and page down, dots 2/3 chord or dots 5/6 chord. I'm going to move this to around
51, 52,
55.
53, 54, 55.
Okay, let's press tab with dots 4/5 chord.
Pitch colon, horizontal slider 5.0, 5.0.
Okay, this is a pitch slider. This works exactly the same as speech rate. I can press dot 6 chord or dot 3 chord to control it. And I will do that now
5.1,
and show you
5.2, 5.3, 5.4,
This is moving by really
5.5,
slower
5.6,
increments
5.7,
here.
5.8, 5.7.
Now we could also press dots 2/3 chord or 5/6 chord to change the pitch in larger increments. Let's press the tab key now with dots 4/5 chord, and we'll go to
Volume
the
colon, horizontal slider 2.0, 2.0.
Now this is volume, and it's set for level 2, which may not sound very high, but it's still a bit loud. So I'm going to make this lower. I'm going to press page up,
Page up, 1.0.
which is dots 2/3 chord.
Page up, 0.0.
And it's actually at volume 0, but you can still hear it. That's actually the lowest setting. Now, there are lots of other settings here, but in the interest of time, we're going to bypass those or ignore those for the moment, but we can revisit some of these or all of these in future trainings if you have an interest in doing so. So I'm just going to kind of breeze
Global
past
voice settings
these.
panel. Break speech into chunks between. Speak multicase strings as words. Checkbox not checked.
And
Speak numbers as
what
digits.
I'm
Checkbox
looking
not
for,
checked.
now that's speaking, do I want to speak numbers as digits? That could be an important
Help push
one.
button.
Now, we've got some buttons at the end of this dialog. One of them is a help button to give us some help information.
Apply push button.
There's an apply button,
Cancel push button.
a cancel button,
OK push button.
and an OK button. Now, with multi-page dialog boxes, the apply button saves your settings, so all of the changes that we made will be saved now. If we choose the cancel button, the changes that we made are not saved. If I were to choose cancel at this point, it will close the Orca dialog and the voice will return back to its defaults, which in this case I don't want. But you might want it. You might have been playing around with the settings and you might have changed something that you don't like, And you might just say, man, I wish I could just undo all of this. Well, all you have to do is either press escape, which is Z chord, by the way, or you could tab to the cancel button and press enter or space. Apply saves your settings, but it keeps you in the dialog. Why? Because maybe you want to save your settings, but you still want to make other adjustments. That's perfectly reasonable. You might say, well, I want to save these settings right now because I like what I hear, but I want to go into some of these other settings and make some additional adjustments without having to press O chord with .7 again. No problem. If that matches what you want to do, you would go to Apply, which applies the settings that you have made, but it keeps you in the dialog. If you go to the OK button, that saves your settings, but it closes the dialog. In this case, that is actually what I want. So
Voice page tab.
I'm going to
OK push button.
go to the, I was already on it. I'm going to go to the OK button and I'm going to press space.
Space. Screen desktop. Icon view.
Okay. Now, for some reason, there was kind of a weird delay, but it should have said something like screen reader settings reloaded, and it puts me back where I was, which is on the desktop window. I'm still in desktop mode, but now you'll notice that my voice settings are the way I just set them. So for my ear, they sound pretty nice. Let's test that. We'll just go into the Applications menu by pressing O
Left top
chord.
panel. Applications menu.
And let's move down.
Accessories menu. Graphics menu. Internet menu.
Okay, let's go out of this with escape.
Is desktop. Icon view.
Now, here's what's really cool. Let's go back into Blazie mode with all of the keys except for .8.
Blazie mode.
Okay, and we are now in Blazie mode, and
Options menu.
if we press the O chord, we're back in the options menu.
Help topics. H.
Now, what we can do at this point is,
Application settings. S.
so I'm still in the options menu. Let's go into desktop mode.
Desktop mode. Left applications menu.
So the voice is almost identical. The pitch is a little bit lower in desktop mode. Let's do something really cool here. Let's go
Blazie
back
mode.
into Blazie mode by pressing all the keys except for .8. Let's go into speech controls in Blazie mode.
Speech controls.
And just lower
Volume,
the pitch
70
a little
V.
bit.
Pitch. 4. Exit.
Now, here's what we've done. We are, let's do a deep escape, and now let's go into
Viewing welcome screen. File 1 of 19.
Now I'll just move through the options menu.
Options menu. Help topics. H.
So you can see that I am in the options menu in
Search menus.
Blazie mode.
Applications.
You can hear the voice. Let's go into desktop mode by pressing all the keys except for .7.
Desktop mode.
And now let's go into the applications
F1.
menu.
Is desktop. Icon view. Left applications menu. Accessories menu. Graphics menu.
So what I'm trying to do is get the voices so that they are in sync, so that the voice in Blazie mode is the same or at least similar to the voice in desktop mode. That may not be a big deal for you, but I kind of like to do that. And eventually, with a little bit of tweaking, you can do that, and it's pretty slick. Okay, for our final little part of the tour, and we're only going to explore the very basics of this, we're going to take a look at LibreOffice, specifically LibreOffice Writer.
Internet menu.
So I am in the Applications menu. I pressed O chord, and what I want is the Office menu.
Office menu.
And I will press Enter on that.
Return. Actual document viewer.
Now there are a lot of things here in the Office menu, most of which were, pretty much all of which, except for one item, we're not going to worry about tonight.
Document viewer.
But I'm going to press .4 chord. We've got a document
LibreOffice
viewer.
Calc.
We have LibreOffice Calc. That, by the way, is a spreadsheet. Very similar, if you've used it, to Microsoft Excel. And in fact, you can even open Excel files into LibreOffice Calc.
LibreOffice Draw.
There's Draw. And let's move
LibreOffice
through
Impress.
this menu,
LibreOffice Math.
because what
LibreOffice
I'm
Start
looking
Center.
for
LibreOffice Writer.
is LibreOffice Writer. So what is that? Well, that is a very robust word processor. It is similar, if you've used it, to Microsoft Word. You can open Word files, you can perform all of the same features that you can in Word. So it's pretty powerful. And let's press Enter
Return. Applications menu.
to
Menu.
open this. And it will take a little bit to load, especially...
Tip of the day: 1/225 dialog. Did you know? LibreOffice offers a variety of user interface options to make you feel at home. OK, push button.
Okay. When we first open LibreOffice, it's doing something called the tip of the day. You may like that, and you might not, but it always gives you a little tip about a cool thing that you can do with LibreOffice. There is an option to not show those. So let's tab through this with .45 chord.
Run this action now. Push button.
Okay, we're not going to worry about that.
Show tips on startup. Checkbox checked.
Now, this is important. It said show tips on startup, and this is a checkbox. Something else you might be familiar with if you've used other devices. It is set to show tips on startup. It is checked, which means every time I start LibreOffice Writer, it's going to give me one of these tips. If I don't want that, I can press the space bar to uncheck this checkbox.
Space. Not checked.
And it's not checked. If I didn't mean to do that, I can press the space bar
Space. Checked.
to check that.
Space. Not checked.
Okay.
Next tip. Push button.
Now I can go to the next tip if I want to see what that is. For the moment I don't, but you may want to do that.
OK, push button.
And now we have the OK button, and that's what I want. So I'll press Enter
Return.
on that.
Untitled 1-LibreOffice Writer frame. Blank.
Okay. I am in the LibreOffice Writer program. I'm in a blank window. And I can start writing, and I can not only write, but I can edit. Let's just write a couple of lines of text. Now, by default, and there is a new way of getting around this if you have our very latest update. At the time that you are listening to this live, you don't have this yet, but you will. So I'll talk a little bit about that. Right now, though, you have to write in computer braille. So the punctuation is a little different. Capitalization, the easiest way is to add .7 to a letter. So I'm going to type in, my
Capital
name
M.
is David.
Y. Space. N. A. M.
And you can
E.
see
Space. I. S.
it's
Space.
reading it.
Capital D. A. V. I. T.
The period is .46.
Period.
Okay, we'll press Enter.
Blank.
And I will type in,
T. H.
this
I.
is
S.
a test. Okay, I have 2 lines of text now, and I can review this text even though I'm not in Blazie mode. I can use the Blazie mode commands to review it. So if I want to move to the previous line, I can press .1 chord.
This is a test.
And I can press .1 chord again.
My name is David.
If I want to move word by word, I can press .5 chord for forward.
Is David. Is
.2 chord
name
to move
my
back. And I can press dots 3 and 6 for character.
Y space N A M E.
Now,
this is a test.
there we go.
Blank.
So we've tried to match the reading commands in Blazie mode to desktop mode. Now, I did mention a feature that will be coming out in an update very shortly. Again, if you are listening to this live, you won't have this yet, but you will soon. You will be able to actually type in grade 2 Braille, or I really should say literary Braille, in desktop mode. You will press a chord command, and then after you press that, you'll be able to, you're actually will be in the editor that you're used to in Blazie mode, and you can type in with the contractions that you know of. It will depend on what Braille table you have, and then you hit another command and the text will be back translated. So that's going to make typing in desktop mode much easier. LibreOffice has a menu that uses the old style menu bar that you used to see in Windows that you still often see on the Mac. And the way you move to the menu bar is M chord. Let's do that now.
F file menu.
Okay, so I'm pointing to File. If I want to see what other menus there are, I can press right arrow or .6 chord.
Edit menu.
There's Edit,
View menu.
a View menu,
Insert menu.
an Insert menu,
Format menu.
Format,
Styles menu.
Styles,
Table menu.
Table. Okay, I can move back by pressing .3 chord.
Styles menu.
Or
Text
left
body.
arrow.
Format menu. Text. Insert menu. Page breaks. View menu. Normal.
Now-
Edit menu. Undo colon. File menu.
Now, if I want to know what's in any of these menus, like what's in the File menu, I can press Enter to open that menu up.
Return. New menu.
I'm in the File menu, and the first choice that I hear is New, or the New menu. Once I pull down a menu, I can press .4 chord to move to the next menu item, or .1 chord for the previous menu item. So there was a menu of items going across: File, Edit, View, and once I opened one of those menus up, like File, then I press .4 chord for the next item in the File menu, and .1 chord for the previous item in the File menu. Let's press .4 chord.
Open .CTRL plus O.
There's Open, and it's also telling me I can press Control O to open that menu.
Open remote .
Okay.
Recent documents
There's
menu.
Recent documents. Close.
Wizards menu.
There's a Wizards menu,
Templates menu.
which I'll admit I have not explored.
Save CTRL plus S.
Save
as .shift
save
plus
as.
CTRL
And
plus
if I
S.
want to press move up, I can press .1 chord.
Save CTRL templates menu. Wizards menu.
There you go. If I want to go, and by the way, if I want to choose one of these to see what they do or to see more about them, I can press Enter. If I press Z chord,
Escape.
it closes the menu, but I'm back in the file. And finally, to close a program, so if I want to totally close LibreOffice, I press Z chord with .7, which many of you know is a deep escape in Blazie mode, but in desktop mode, it closes the program. So it's kind of like Alt F4 if you're used to Windows. Let's press Z chord with .7.
F4. Alert warning. Your changes will be lost if you don't save them.
Okay, it's giving me a warning that if I don't save, my changes are going to be lost. If I wanted to save, by the way, I could press Control S, which is the letter S with dots 7 and 8, and it will ask me for a file name, like many other word processors that you've used on other devices. I'm going to press the Tab key.
Tab. Don't save push button.
And there's a Don't Save button. There's also a Save button, but for now, I'm just going to press Enter.
Return.
For
Desktop.
Don't
Icon
Save.
view.
And now I'm back on the desktop window. This concludes the training portion of Intro to Desktop Mode, and I hope that you have found it helpful. Yes, and I agree with myself. I hope you have found it helpful, actually. So that does conclude the training. I have listened to myself talk for over 50 minutes. I hope that takes 50 years off of my time in purgatory, and perhaps it will for you as well. So, Stephen, I thought I heard a few raised hands, and if we have questions, we'll be happy to take them.
All right. As David said, go ahead and raise your hand if you have a question, and we'll get to you. But we're going to go to Shannon first.
So my question is, where can I find like full documentation for using the writer application in desktop mode?
Okay, it's not in our manual yet, but that is my next project. So we ourselves don't have it. There is documentation. There's lots of documentation on the LibreOffice website, and it will be accurate, and it will you will be able to apply it to the BT Speak or the BT Braille. The problem is it's not going to be Braille specific. So of course it'll talk to you about press Control such and such to do this, or click the edit menu to do that, but it won't talk about chord commands on a Braille keyboard. So that's really why we have our own custom documentation, is to fill in that gap and make it very Blazie specific or Braille specific. And that is something I plan to do. I don't think we can do an entire, one-for-one LibreOffice equivalent, although it might be possible long-term. Short-term, what I want to do is at least an intro covering everything we talked about, plus a little more with some of the more commonly used commands. But we don't have that. What we do have, which I forgot to mention in the initial training session, is in our manual, we do have an introduction to desktop mode, which goes into a lot of the things that I've talked about here, plus a few things that I didn't. And there's also a chapter on intro to web browsing on the BT Speak and BT Braille, and a chapter on an intro to Thunderbird. But LibreOffice is the next thing that I've got to do.
Okay, so if I needed to know how to do some things in it, like formatting things, for example, my best bet would be to look at their site and try to figure it out from there.
Right now, that is one option. You can always call us, and if you
Okay.
were to say, hey, I want to, how do I make this bold? How do I select text and underline it? We should be able to help you with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yep, no worries.
So, thanks, Shannon. We're going to go to Wesley.
There was a keystroke I remember from about a year ago where you could press the keystroke and then type in, I want to, press Control C, and it would do it.
Yep.
What is that keystroke?
That is a 356 chord, I believe. I believe it was called Smart Input.
Yep. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Wesley. we're going to go to Deb.
I know, for example, in the email, it is now that you can compose it in Blazie Mode and then do something and get it to Thunderbird. I haven't done that yet, but I know you can. So, is there a way to do that sort of thing with Writer if you have a document that you're creating in Blazie Mode?
Yes.
Or editing there, can you just
Yes.
get it then to Writer to do the final touches or
Yes.
merge it with something else or whatever you want to do up there?
Yep. You can, if you can point to a file in the file browser, so you could press Ocord F, find the file that you're working on, even if it's a Braille file, by the way, and then press L for LibreOffice. It'll import it. And if it is a Braille contracted file, it automatically back translates it so that you've got it and you can, as you say, do the final touches on it. And once you get our new update, which will be coming out in July, you'll even be able to continue to enter text in contracted Braille. Yep.
Oh, okay. So you just highlight. So you're not actually doing it in the editor. You're going to be in the file manager to do this.
Oh no, you'll actually be in LibreOffice.
I mean, in the first place, when you start. I'm sorry. When you start in the Blazie Mode, so you've got the document, but for this to work, for this to transmove itself magically, the document is closed, and then
No, it doesn't have to be closed.
Oh, okay.
You could be in the document writing right now,
Okay,
and then
right
as
now,
soon
and then
as
do
soon as
that.
you're ready, you do Ocord F and then press
right.
L.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
All right, I'm off to do that. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Deborah. Going to Kathleen.
What's the difference? Why or when would you want to write something in Libre versus in Blazie Mode?
That is a really good and valid question. So there are some differences between the two word processors. The word processor in Blazie Mode has the benefit of being really convenient because whenever you turn on your BT Speak or BT Braille, that's where you are. And not only that, but you're in the last file you were in when you turned it off, and you're in the position that you were last in. So if you were working on a file called Journal and you're on line 12, when you turn your BT Speak off and then turn it back on again, you're in Journal on line 12. So it makes writing, especially quick writing or note-taking, really, really convenient. But what you don't get, at least right now, are the ability to add, this is just an example, text attributes. So you can add headings, but you can't make text bold.
Right.
I think I can't remember who it was now, but two participants ago, someone was asking about doing formatting on LibreOffice. That's something right now that our editor doesn't do directly.
Right.
So, or maybe you might want to have a line of text with a bigger font or a different font. So you've got, those are some of the things that you couldn't do on our editor that you can do with LibreOffice Writer. However, one of the things our editor does have now are some really cool, and these are being expanded in the next update, AI tools that you don't have in, at least not currently, I'm sure they will at some point, in LibreOffice. So in our editor, in the next update, you will be able to take some text and say, hey, I want to change the writing style of this text to make it, maybe it sounds too formal. and you're writing to a friend, and you don't want your friend to think that you're writing to your manager. So you can change the writing style, or you can say, this isn't formal enough, and I want to make it more professional sounding. You can do that. And we also have, the ability to look up words or ask questions about text in your document. Those are things you can do in our editor, which currently you cannot do in LibreOffice. So it just has to do with what you need to do and whether whether the editor that you're using has that ability. So our editor
Right.
can do things that LibreOffice can't, and LibreOffice can do things that our editor can't. And what we really want to do is just be able to give you the choice and to be able to give you the best of both worlds. I do predict, and I have no inside information about this, and I haven't looked at their roadmap, but I do predict that LibreOffice is going to be adding a lot of these features. I don't want to say it's inevitable, but it's very likely. It's just the way the industry is going.
And is there a spell checker in either one?
Let me. Stephen had some comments, and then I'll answer that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Stephen, did you have some
Oh,
additional?
that's okay. I was just going to add to what David said. I mean, one of the biggest examples that we see and that exemplifies, why you would use LibreOffice over the standard Braille editor in Blazie Mode is if somebody sends you a document with lots of rich text formatting, like embedded tables and images and things like that in a formal document, and you're sharing that document with somebody, you would want to open those in LibreWriter because LibreWriter is going to preserve all of those richly formatted features like
That's
the
true.
table and things. And so not
Right.
only can you edit the table directly or add a new table, but it's also not going to strip your document of all of those things. The editor is really meant for simpler documents where you don't have those kinds of features inside them. So sharing between documents with Google Drive, for example, and working on something with somebody else, that's a great time to use something like LibreOffice.
Yes, and that is absolutely true, and I should have mentioned that. And
And the
that's a,
LibreOffice does have a spell checker. It has it's very similar to the what you'd find in any other major word processor, Microsoft Word or something like that. Functions very much the same way.
Right.
The editor in Blazie Mode does have a spell checker. Currently, it's using AI to do the spell checking. And we're planning on adding a more traditional spell checker feature. It just hasn't been completed yet, but I think it's on the near term roadmap. So you should see that pretty soon.
And we need to get the AI key before we can use the spell checker.
no,
Oh, okay.
not that. Most of the AI features use our key, and what you need to use that is your device, BT Speak or BT Braille. Well, BT Braille users have it because of the way the early adopter program works. If you're a BT Speak user, your unit does need to either be under the initial warranty or a maintenance contract. That's one of the newer benefits
Ah,
of having a maintenance contract is you get access to our AI features without needing a key. I think there are a few of them that you still need a key for, but most of them, like the spell checker Stephen had just mentioned, the ability to transform your text into a different writing style, or to use the AI dictionary and thesaurus. Those are using our key if your unit is under a maintenance contract or warranty.
oh, great.
And yep, and the other cool thing to add to Stephen's comment earlier was you not only can open up Word files or Excel files, but you can save in those formats. So, if you've got someone who says, well, I don't have LibreOffice, first of all, they can get it on any platform because it's free. So whether they use Windows or Mac, they can download LibreOffice and use it. But if they don't or don't want to, and they say, hey, I only use Word, No problem, because LibreOffice not only can open Word files, but you can save to Word format. And that's really, really nice.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, thanks, Kathleen. We're going to go to Rose.
First of all, I really enjoyed this. I was actually going along with it through parts of it with my own. Uh,
Good. Did I get anything wrong?
no. One thing that I didn't quite catch. So when I open up Office, would I be able to just type right away?
Oh, yeah. Yep. There's
Okay,
no...
because yeah, I didn't hear the tip when it came through. But when I pressed space, it just said space. So I figured,
Oh,
probably I would have.
at some point you might have disabled it or you might have dismissed it because it usually comes up by default, but that's fine. Once you do dismiss it, though, as soon as Writer loads, you're in a blank document. So you can start typing and editing. Absolutely. Yeah.
So you say that for capital, I'm going to have to learn this until at least for sure, until we can type normal. But so you said with that 7 is for capital?
Right now, yes, you would add. Well, there's two ways you can do it, but yeah, the best way in desktop mode is just add .7 to the letter that you want to capitalize. Although I will tell you a little secret: LibreOffice, like some other word processors, if you do forget to capitalize the beginning of a sentence, it will auto capitalize for you anyway.
Oh, okay, like Word.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, that second line that I wrote when I said this is a test, I didn't capitalize the T in this, but I noticed that LibreOffice capitalized it for me. Now, you can turn that off. Some people don't like their word processor sort of doing its own little auto formatting, but
Right.
LibreOffice does do that. So if you do forget to capitalize, it will do that at least at the beginning of sentences. I don't know if it does that with proper names or days of the week or months of the year, but it will do that for sentences. But yeah, if you want to capitalize, you just add .7. But that new feature where you can type in contracted Braille is coming very soon. We're hot to get it out, and it's very close.
Okay. Thanks a lot. This was interesting.
Okay, cool. Thanks for listening and for following along.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Thanks, Rose. We're going to go to Clinton.
I had a question, which is sort of not necessarily clear to me because I'm one of those old timers that actually still has a Braille Light Millennium and still uses it. But anyway, it has to do with in Blazie Mode whether it's actually necessary to save files or not. Like, if you just keep going from one file to the next, is there a danger of losing your work? Possibly?
Generally, no. Now, we do have a save command.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering.
Yeah, we do have it, but if you don't use it, we automatically save when you press O chord for options. And even if you write something and then turn it off, we do save that. I'm 99.9% sure that we are doing that reliably.
Okay.
So now there is a command to close without saving. So if you've made changes and you say, no, I don't want to
like
save
those
those.
changes, yeah.
You can either press Control Z for undo, or you can do a save and quit. Go into the editor menu and press Q for quit.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't do that and you hit the O chord, it's possible you have got those new changes whether you like them or not. Huh? Is that
Well, yeah,
accurate?
but you should be able to then go back in the file and press Control Z for undo.
Oh,
And
okay.
just to be clear, hitting O chord isn't actually closing your file. It's still running in the background.
That's
You're
right.
Right.
moving to a menu.
Right. I just wondering if pressing L chord made it automatically save it though.
I believe we did set it up to do that, but if you go into another file and you're like, nah, you should be able to go back into that previous file, because as Steven said, files don't close when you open a new
A
file.
new file, right? Yeah.
And even when you turn off the BT Speak and turn it back on, it remembers which files were opened.
Okay.
Yeah, generally speaking, the editor is built on the GNU Nano editor. That's what our Braille editor is actually running. And then we've customized it a bit to support Braille, quite a bit to support Braille.
Right.
And that editor is by default does a lot of auto saving. It even caches things into memory as you're writing it. And so you
Okay.
have to be more deliberate about not saving something than saving something.
Oh, okay.
The things are saved. That's not to make any promises that you won't lose something if something catastrophic happens in the middle of
Well, yeah.
writing, like it shuts off unexpectedly. But the shutdown procedure, like when your battery dies or you issue a hard restart by pressing the power button, those kind of operations are all going to initiate a very programmed clean shutdown, which is going to save your files and things like that.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, I'll be honest. When I'm taking notes somewhere, I never actually think of saving, and I do it obsessively when I'm in Windows, when I'm using Word. But when I'm out on the road using a BT Speak to take notes, I never go out of my way to issue the save command, and it's always, the stuff is always there.
It's always there. Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
But just wanted to confirm that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
No worries.
All right, thank you. We're going to go to Charlene.
I assume that we can print from a BT Braille already.
Oh yeah. Even
Yeah.
from the Blazie Mode editor.
So in the LibreOffice, can we format an envelope and address an envelope yet?
I believe it does have that. Now, off the top of my head, I don't remember where it is, but
Right.
if it was something
As a
you
big
needed to
round
do,
menu.
we can easily find it for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Charlene. I think that does it for questions. I think we're finished with the training for this evening. Thanks everyone for being here. And we hope this was helpful, and we hope to have many more of these. If you have any suggestions for topics, please send them our way. We're absolutely interested in hearing from our customers and understanding what it is that, what kind of information that it is that you need and you want to learn about. David, do you have anything to add?
Just to reiterate that, to repeat that we would like to know, I mean, we knew that there was an interest in desktop mode, and admittedly, we have only scratched the surface. And so if there are more specific, this isn't a progressive course. So if there are specific topics that you think you would like us to address or revisit in more detail, please let us know. You could call us or email us. Emailing is the best way for something like that. Our email address is info, at blazie.net. And it'll get to several of us on the team, so lots of people will see it. And we do plan on doing these pretty regularly. I'd like to do this on a monthly basis. Maybe something like the last Tuesday of the month or the third Tuesday of the month. Next month is going to be a little bit tricky to schedule that, only because we've got at least 2 conventions coming up. We've got 2 national conventions, and if you're going to those, please be safe. And we'll be at both of those, so you can stop by our booth and say hello. And we will have another, it will not be a training webinar, it'll be a general Blazie webinar next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we'll be talking about the new update with more detail about what's being added. We mentioned a couple of those features, the ability to transform text using AI and the ability to write in grade 2 mode in desktop. Another feature that we did mention on Mastodon for those who are on that platform is in the podcasts app, you will be able to navigate podcasts by chapter. If the podcast has chapters, you'll be able to access those and move to different chapters in the podcasts app. Those are 3 of the things we're adding, but there's a ton of other things as far as features and lots of refinements and fixes. I would be here until, for another few hours if I went into all of it now, but we will be lifting the lid on some of that next week. So I think we'll sign off, and thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. for our general webinar. We'll get the announcement out about that. In the meanwhile, if you have any questions, if you have support issues, you can call us at 772-214-1616, or you can email us info@blazie.net, and please visit our website for all the latest goings on at the company and with our products at Blazie Tech, BLAZIETECH.com.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this.